I don't know.
think so.
I don't think they would, because the GMs were making the decisions to sign people to 150 or 115 million dollar contracts. So, I don't think it would really help, but it would be an interesting dynamic nonetheless.
So they talk on Tuesday, and for the first time,
Things are going well.
things are going well, and you actually see Steve Fear and Bill Daly together in one interview. And that's where I said, "Oh my God!" Like they're actually together talking. It's not like they had their separate interviews. And Bill Daly's got the tie untied, like he's hard at work. And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, okay, we might have something here." And then Wednesday comes around, and we still don't know. And then Thursday night comes around, 6:45, and Donald Fear says that they're close to a deal, that the money is, they have met the demands of each other, money-wise. And 15 minutes later, Fear comes out on the podium. By the way, this NHL podium's getting more talk than the actual NHL lockout. It's got a Twitter account, but that's besides the point.
People are trying to figure out who it is.
Oh.
They think it's one of the NHL writers who did it.
I'm sure it was just some random guy.
I don't know. It gained, 10,000 followers in one day or something like that? I don't know. It's like a phenomenon now.
But anyways, 15 minutes later, Fear comes out, says the deal's been rejected. And really, he gives off the perception that he doesn't care. Like, it didn't really bother him. And in the meantime, you got mad Gary Bettman walking down Broadway, and he struts into the Westin Hotel, and he goes on a rant for half an hour. And I don't know about you, I've never seen Gary Bettman
I'm gonna say something.
that angry. He was shaking. He was growing.
You know that I don't like Gary Bettman. So,
Neither do I.
So is it? I'm gonna say something about him right now, and maybe it's very wrong, but I find it hilarious. The fact that he came out and he was so angered, he looked like a little red Napoleon. I know people already compare him to Napoleon, but he was so red. I've never seen him that. He looked like, imagine a very, very pissed off Santa Claus. Very red, rosy cheeks. Like he was red.
Oh, I know. He was shaking.
He looked really emotional. It almost looked like he was going to burst into tears.
That actually, you're right, but that actually makes me happy, because for the first time ever, that's the first time I've ever seen Gary Bettman that passionate about hockey. Usually he says, "Oh, there's nobody that cares more about playing this game than I do," but it just seems like he's saying it.
Yeah.
He used to work for the NBA, and then he takes over as commissioner for the NHL. To me, I don't know. Is he a hockey fan? Yeah, probably. But, I wish we had a commissioner that actually cared for the game. And this was the first time after on Thursday night when Bettman went on his rant, where I felt like, oh my God, he actually cares.
Players walk into the press conference or the little speech he did, little temper tantrum, and they're at the back of the room. They're watching him get flustered.
Are you talking about the players?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not. I forget which particular players there were, but I think it was a player agent and then two other players.
Okay.
Anyways, they show up at the back of the room, and they're watching Gary Bettman do his spiel, speak, get overly emotional. And I think at that point, the players were saying to themselves, or at least they reported back, and they said, "We got him exactly where we want him." And what the first thing I thought when one of the players in the room had been quoted and said that this is before both leaders went up to speak. Apparently, Donald Fear went up to this player, or he went up to Donald Fear, and he asked him, or the players asked him what we should do, and he said, "Don't accept the deal. Hold out. We can get a better one." Something to that extent.
Well, the NHL's point when they were negotiating was when they apparently had a deal, was the players wanted to go to Fear and say, "Okay, we have a deal," and the NHL told them, "If you go to Donald Fear, there's a possibility that we won't get a deal done." And that's exactly what happened. Now the question is it tactics? Is it all tactics? I
I
mean,
think
did Fear negotiate? Did Fear know how badly Bettman wants a season? Because obviously Bettman wants a season. He doesn't want to go through 04-05 again. And does Fear know how bad Bettman wants it, that when Bettman and the owners up the ante to $300 million instead of the original $100 million for the make whole,
and the players come back and say, well, okay, so let's work on these
Yeah.
other things now.
Yeah, exactly. So now we got the $200 million out of you. So now let's work on the other stuff. It's almost
Yeah.
like what Bettman did to them in 2004. If you remember when they met in February,
Yes.
the players offered a 24% rollback, and Gary Bettman said nope, put it in his back pocket. Came back before the next season when they were negotiating, said, "Yep, we're going to do a salary cap. Oh, and by the way, you're going to give 24% of your salaries back." So it's almost like Fear said, "You know what? You're going to $300 million for make whole. Oh, okay, sure. And now we're going to work on I'm going to put that in my back pocket, and now let's get to the other stuff." And I think that's what pissed Bettman off so much at the press conference.
Yeah, because he knows that
But
if this continues, if this goes the whole year, I think his job's in jeopardy, to tell you the truth.
has Gary Bettman met his match though? I mean, in 2004, Bob Goodenow really, it was more of a personal thing. It seems Donald Fear is for the players. Like he's doing everything he can for the players to get the best interests for the players. And in 04, it seemed like Goodenow wasn't, that it was just a personal thing with Bettman. Is he basically another Gary Bettman, Donald Fear? Because he matches up pretty good against him.
I feel that there could have been a deal a long time ago if it wasn't for Donald Fear.
Really?
But I also feel that way about Gary Bettman.
Yeah.
Both of them, that's why they took them out of the room. And
That's where the most progress was made.
But for the hockey enthusiasts, though, who are saying, let's get back to hockey no matter what, they'd say, okay, who cares? Fire Gary Bettman, get rid of Donald Fear, put, whoever in the room, and let's just grind out a deal. For me, personally, I want hockey as fast as I can, right? I don't like Gary Bettman, though. So if this lockout continues, another reason...
You're going to blame Bettman instead of Fear?
I blame Bettman for the last 7 years. Mm-hmm. And not the profitability, because that was great.
I'm not a Gary Bettman fan either, but I can't blame him as much considering he came out and said he wants a 10-year deal. You can't fault him for that.
No. And I love the 10-year deal.
Yeah.
We
Because
need
we don't
some
wanna
security.
we don't want to do this over again in 5-6 years.
We don't want to do this again. It's ridiculous. So, no, I like the 10-year deal, but that's all I like. Because if he really wanted a season, then he would look at this and he would say, okay, you got your cap, okay? I personally hate the cap. He wants to bring the cap back down for next season. I think it's like 60.2 million or something like that.
Okay.
And
you don't like the cap?
No,
I like it.
I don't like the cap.
I like it considering anybody can win the cup. And I know if there was no cap, my team could spend more than any other team in the NHL. But
a lot
then I
of
would
teams
feel
could
like
spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
you know.
But then the teams like Minnesota. Well, I shouldn't say Minnesota anymore.
See, the problem is with the cap. Even with the new CBA that may happen, Bettman is trying to get a CBA right now with the cap that says that essentially the teams that are making the most money are going to be helping the teams that aren't making any money at all. And that's his doing. And that's why I don't like Gary Bettman. Because if you really wanted to expand hockey, you do not put a team in Columbus, Ohio. You do not put a team in Phoenix, Arizona. He did that anyways. He said, no, it belongs... this is not basketball, okay? It cannot be played everywhere. People do not care in the United States, at least not as much as we hope.
It would make sense, like Colorado makes sense. Snow, skiing.
Of course.
Even Seattle makes sense. Seattle makes sense more than Florida
Seattle
does.
makes more sense than any of the two I mentioned. Nashville even. I mean, I think Nashville has a really good team. They have a good city. Is it a hockey city? No, it's not a hockey city. I don't know how well they're doing financially right now, but
they support their team.
Of course.
The arena sold out every game,
and you couldn't say that about the Atlanta Thrashers. You couldn't say that. You can't say that about the Phoenix Coyotes. They have they even come out with a deal yet for the Phoenix Coyotes? Probably not.
I don't know.
They got other things to worry. They got bigger fish to fry with this lockout. So what happens? What happens if this lockout continues? No season canceled.
I'm worried it goes into next year.
I don't think it will. I think Bettman's gonna realize that he's on the line, not the season.
An idea was brought to me yesterday, and I want to hear your input. A friend of mine suggested that if there is no season this year, and September comes around and there is no CBA,
there's no agreement yet.
Yeah, if there's no agreement, that the NHL should make their own agreement and let players from the AHL, the KHL, the Swiss leagues come over and play, and give the option to those of the NHLPA that if they want to come play in the new CBA, the new collective bargaining agreement,